Hello everyone in YouTube land. This is your boy Marcus, Charismatic Enigma Houston on Facebook, also known as Trini to everyone that knows me. I'm going to do my deck profile on the Saiyan that I recently went to ARG Connecticut Circuit Series and got to the top 4 with. So without further ado, let's dive in. Bounce, 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 bounce. First off is Staples, 4 Champa, Manipulating God. Basically a searcher to get your further instruction Champa. Next up is Toa. This allows you to get your removal and your self-awakening Saiyan. A lot of people ask me why I play 8 searchers. One is for either control through crit, or another is to self-awaken. You don't know how many times you will be camped out at 5 or 6 life and you're like, how am I supposed to awaken? I need this draw, when you only have like 2-3 cards left in your hand. This will allow you to extend to that play. Next up is our next self-awakening, which is like MVP almost, Kaba. If you don't know what Kaba does, you're bad. Well, basically what Kaba does is when he swings, you activate the auto, you pull a life to your hand, and it gains double strike and 10k. Another core staple, can't run a deck without your super combos. Difference between this super combo and the normal color is this works when you have 5 and overroam, so you don't need to actually be at 4 life to utilize it. My next up, going to 2 drops from there, is Quick Rush Trunks. I put this in the deck more so as a way to keep my mana in control, as well as it's a flex spot. I normally side this out, but I'll get to that later for what I put in that spot. Next up, we have a little bit more control. Relentless Destruction Mirror. Overroam 3 coming to play. Basically makes your opponent neg a card out their hand. Very good against SS3 where they already mill a card out of their hand to get to energy. Next up, I play 4 Time Patrol Trunkses. It allows you to look at the top 2, overall for 3. You choose one, and you can place the other card either at the top or bottom of your deck. Next up, Champa-sama. Champa-sama saves lives. Champa is a combo card. It gives your character double strike and 10k. Pretty self-explanatory. You can always go for game when they're at 2. If you just want to use it with crit, neg 2 cards out of their life, another good card. Next up on the list, we have 3 Overseeing Time Power Trunkses. This card, I utilize it a lot. Getting to the top 32 cut allows you to overrun. It's a overrun 4 tap 2. I'm sorry, and you can bring a battle card from your warp back into your hand. So let's say if you haven't seen your Champa, you can get your Champa, you can get your 10k back, any other battle card. Of course, we have our second self-awakening, which is Increasing Evil Saiyan. It's a 1 cost for overwhelm. Basically, you pull life to your hand and you can warp one of your opponent's battle cards if it's 5 or less, if I'm not mistaken. This also gets around the blockers, so you can warp the blocker out and extend your play. I really don't run negates, but I do play Topo, which is a form of negation. I more so use it as a get a character on board, and to extend my play for my turn on my opponent's turn. Next up, God, Son Goku GT. Also known as Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. Tap 1, draw a card. Pretty self-explanatory. Combine that with your actual super combo early on in the game. Let's be real. Who's really going to stop 35k on turn 2? Not that many people, unless you want to get rid of your hand and field for it, which most people do. Shout out to Anthony Hernandez. Next up, I played the Crit Mirror from the Darkness. I was always going back and forth between this card and the Relentless, but through my teammates and playtesting, I decided to add it in at the last minute before the event, because when I used to play in Vegeta, I really liked the card, so I just added it to the deck. Next up, we have our next removal card, which is Mass Saiyan, the Mysterious Warrior. Tap 1, Overwhelm 5. Comes into play, warp cards up to 2 on your opponent's field. This card has the drawback of you can't get rid of blockers, but it can stop the Veggie engine, which is heavily reliant on Kaba and Khalifa. And the MVP, Scientist Fu. This card is amazing. Like, I never ran it until that event, because I always felt like I could never really summon it. But then once I got to the event and I saw how I could get there, it immediately opened up my deck to other combos and possibilities, which allowed me to get to that top 4. Next, I'll go into my side deck. 2 Planet M2s, self-explanatory, field spell, when you attack, turn sideways, neg a card by 5,000. I normally side out the Quick Rushes for it, seeing as it's a red card, doesn't mess up the curve, and it also allows me to extend that play. Next up, Vitals Assistance, also a really good negation tool. I think I only used it the one time. I believe that was in round 5 or 6 to stop a, what was it? I think it was a Vegeta, a Crit Vegeta, and then from there it just saved my life. So awesome, set 1 card. The last mirror, since I only run 3, this allows me to get more control if I need it. Staple Haru Attacker Majin, good for when you go against the green-yellow matchup. I probably should have sided this in my top 4 cut. Didn't know why I didn't do it, but hey, it is what it is. The last mirror, that was also if I want to go for more aggressive style of play. The Last Awakening, if I need it. If I see that my opponent is stalling me out in game 1, I'll go ahead and side this in. This is where I go into troll mode and I play Time Ruler Toa. Still the Kaba, look at my opponent and be like, so your Shigeshes aren't going to be live for that Khalifa play. You're going to have to rely on explosive, and if you've been getting only Kales, that's going to shut down that play. And then the following turn I can do it again, still the Khalifa, and then I have 2 of your own cards. That's pretty much it for the side. I've seen a lot of people ask me why I don't play the Dark Plots or Legic. Even though Legic is a free card, I'm not really a defensive player. Even though it's good for stopping my opponent from taking life, I want them to hit me. So by me playing that, that's going to kind of counteract what I'm trying to do. You don't want to awaken fast, but you want to awaken at your own pace. My deck is primarily built for aggression, ruthless aggression, I should say, because that is the type of player that I am. As you see, I don't run that many negates in the main deck. I sideboard it if I have to, and 9 times out of 10 I charge it because I don't need to negate on turn 1 unless you're like OP running GT for some reason in this format, which does happen. Dark Plot can be useful in my deck, but I don't see the space for it. To be honest, if I side out the Crypt Force Trunkses, that's mostly the deck profile. Shout out to John Alonso for this amazing, beautiful custom mat that he did that I used at the event with Triinfinity and MetaMats. Anthony Hernandez, you're the GOAT, man. I couldn't make it to that final matchup to Mount Olympus to slay you, but I will get there the next time. Shout out to Scott Dashisama, Matthew Combs, and the whole Kitchen Table Meta crew. Always a blast talking to you guys and gaining information that way. My teammates at Offer S had my back all throughout the event. Did not expect to make it this far with this deck, but it does what it does. It's pretty simple. I will say it kind of has a high skill cap because you never want to mill yourself to death. There have been times when I first learned the deck that I would mill myself into dangerous situations. After a while, I learned to control how I mill. That's the deck. Hope you enjoyed it, and always remember, ruthless aggression always wins.